Now, there are no easy games, especially when you're Southampton, but this has the potential to be as one-sided a game as you're ever going to see. I think top versus bottom at Anfield on Saturday the 8th. The good news, Glenn, I guess we've already played them twice this season and we scored 3 goals. So, there's a positive. I mean, conceded 5, but you're hoping to see some changes, I guess, with these 11 days that we've got until this game.
Well, I was thinking about this, and in theory, we could have a team of Ramsdale, back three, Harwood-Bellis, Bella-Kotchap, Bednarek. You could have Downs and Leslie Ukachukwu in the middle, 2 fullbacks, KWP and Wellington, if you want to do that mad thing of having, players on the correct side and all that. And then 2 forwards, which would probably be Sulemana and, I don't know, Tall Paul. So that, to me, on paper, looks probably about as good as we can put out if we're going to play this formation. So, so he could probably do that and not have any madness, Aribo in defence and, all this sort of rubbish. So we could, in theory, put out a better team, whether he will or not, I don't know. So, yeah, I'd like to see some changes if we assume that Urich's still going to be there, which he probably is. Liverpool, I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about them, but there's not really any point. We all know how good they are. We all know how well drilled their team is, how strong the defence is. Van Dijk and Konate don't go wandering out to the wings just because just because the forward does. They don't follow them and leave a big gap up the middle. It's strange. I don't know why every team don't do it. So, they'll be very, very difficult to get any change out of, obviously. They've got a midfield that's got a bit of everything about it. You've got Gravenberch, who's the insurance policy, and then you've got McAllister and Szoboszlai, and Curtis Jones, whatever combination they decide to go with, who can all be a threat going forward, but all work incredibly hard. The one weakness is obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, but that's only if you can get hold of the ball and get at him. Because if you saw their game against Manchester City, Jeremy Doku, who's pretty similar in profile to Sulemana, managed to run past him about 7 or 8 times. So again, that's what we've got to aim to do. But there's kind of no point unless we get the defensive side of the game sorted out. And it's just one of those, watching through your fingers, isn't it? And trying to get to each 10-minute period without having conceded a goal. And and if we do concede a goal, like we did against Chelsea on about 25 minutes or whatever, you absolutely have to start again as if it's 0-0. You cannot afford to throw in 3 or 4, because then it really will get horrible in the second half. No matter how many substitutions and changes Liverpool make. So yeah, there's not a lot. But and again, we're going into another game where we've got to hope for for a different setup and a different way of going about it than what we've seen so far. Because if we go into it like we did against Chelsea and we have players out of position and we don't work particularly hard and all that, it could be absolutely brutal against Liverpool.
If they can't get themselves up for this game, Liam, then they should probably quit as footballers. Are you nervous about the game? What are you expecting?
I mean, I foolishly bought a ticket for it. I have a hell of a journey up there. I remember the journey.
You just want to enjoy the game and see some players put some effort in, then, don't you?
But yes, ultimately that's it. I was listening to TalkSport on the way up to Chelsea yesterday, and I heard Chelsea players do nothing but complain about Chelsea. And I walked into the stadium with this false hope, having listened to Chelsea fans complain about Chelsea the whole way up. But I don't hear Liverpool fans complaining about Liverpool, let's be honest, because they are a complete package right now. Glen's not wrong. Sulemana running at Trent Alexander-Arnold, we could have some degree of success down that wing. But if you've got no one making space or making runs in the middle, it's largely pointless anyway. And no one, even Uric, if he has some success, he'll probably switch him to the other wing anyway. Because that's what he does at the moment. I think the only glimmer of hope I have right now is Liverpool have got a League Cup final around the corner. And they're now 11 points clear, aren't they? So they may decide to take some of their big guns off for that final and
Champions
go.
League next round must be coming up soon as well, I would have thought.
It's got to be soon, yeah. So I can only hope they might take some of their big guns off, rest some of their bigger players, because it's only Southampton, and then maybe we have a glimmer of hope from that. But I mean, I'm clutching at straws right there, to be honest with you. I would like to see changes, much like Glenn. I'd like to see us change formation though, because this 5 nonsense is just not working. I'd like to see a 4-2-3-1 or something, and just try and really shore up the middle of the park, because our middle of the park is currently non-existent, and that's where we're just getting people tearing through the middle. And the man marking doesn't help, as Glenn's alluded to. When your centre backs go wandering out to the wing, it doesn't help. So I think we probably need to look at a change of formation. We've got best part of 2 weeks now to try and get a new sort of system in. My fear is the team sheet will come out and you'll know exactly where each player is playing, and it'll be the same formation. And even Liverpool's B team is probably going, yep, cool, this has just been another day at the office. And the fans will probably get a bit bored of just watching them hammer us for 90 minutes.
Sorry, Liam, just to jump in a second. I've just had a look. Liverpool's fixtures, they've got PSG home and away either side of our game. So
there's that glimmer of hope, Glenn. See, I told you.
Yeah, there it is. So it's PSG away on the 5th, us at home on the 8th, and then PSG at home on the 11th. So they'll obviously be resting players for PSG just so they can play against us.
Yes. We're watching the champions elect, aren't we, Steve? They've had a hell of a season, to be fair to them.
Yeah, I think everyone probably expected Liverpool to stutter a little bit this season with the new manager. It's always a little bit unknown especially when kind of a sort of dynasty manager steps down and you've got new guy taking over. How do you follow on from the guy that's basically achieved everything for that football club? And actually, you achieve it by being pragmatic. You don't come in and say, "No, this is my way of playing, and we're going to rip up all the good stuff the previous guy did, and we're going to do it my way, and I'll put my stamp on it." He's been very pragmatic in terms of only tweaking certain things. So they've not been quite as gung ho as they were under Klopp, which I think towards the end, especially last season, they were just knackered, constantly getting injured because the demands on that team, and it's a team that plays 65, 70 games of football a season now, and you just can't play that style of football consistently for that period of time and expect to be successful. And I think Slaughter's kind of accepted that and been fairly pragmatic. They've signed nobody really. They've signed Enrico Chiesa, who's done absolutely nothing since he joined, and so he's still got the same squad, but he's got them much more efficient. Probably the only kind of the only kind of real failure I would imagine is Darwin Núñez has somehow got worse under him. But other than that, everybody else seems to have kind of stepped back up a level, which has been a combination of both impressive and annoying for any of us who know that type of Liverpool fan who is just constantly chippy about how great they are. But yeah, at the end of the day, they will be expecting to roll us over as easily as they've rolled over the rest recently. Although it was interesting how much of a pig's ear they made of the Wolves game a couple of weeks ago. 2-0 up and fairly coasting. Second half, they didn't manage a single shot, which I found absolutely extraordinary. Apparently, it's the first time that's ever happened at Anfield. Wow. That Liverpool haven't had a shot on or off target in a half in the Premier League. So, they are a little bit vulnerable. At the end of the day, we've scored 10% of our league goals against them this season.
I hadn't even thought about that when I worked out the number.
So yeah, their defense isn't completely impregnable, and that's kind of what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks, where they've stuttered a little bit, had a couple of draws. As I say, they had that Wolves game that they just about scraped the win in the end, but they drew with Villa, they drew with somebody else who I can't remember. Obviously got dumped out of the FA Cup by Plymouth, albeit with a largely reserve team, but still a side that should have been more than good, more than capable of going to the Championship's bottom side and winning easily. But now they've gone and battered Man City, and everything's fine again. Yeah. But Slot's not on the touchline. 2-game ban for his red card at Everton. That was the other draw, wasn't it? Yes. 2-game ban 2-game ban for the red card he got after the final whistle there. So him and his assistant, I think, are both in the stands. Obviously, it won't make an awful lot of difference, but I guess, I mean, we don't really know how much of an influence he has as a sort of touchline manager. Really, I mean, we know that Klopp was a very big presence in the technical area, much to the kind of headaches of fourth officials up and down the country. But yeah, I don't think Slot is quite as sort of animated or involved as, or sort of micromanaging. I mean, you look at the sort of stuff that Pep Guardiola's doing every 30 seconds in the technical area. Slot's nowhere near on that sort of level. So I don't think, I wouldn't imagine that him having the touchline ban will have an awful lot of impact. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you never know. I mean, as I say, their defence has looked a little bit creaky if you can get at them. The problem has been that we basically can't get out teams because we basically surrender and cough up easy chances too early in games and give ourselves too much to do. Whereas, I mean, if you take the reverse fixture back in, when was that, October? Where, I mean, we caught them on an off day, we played really well, should have won the game, and we presented them with 3 goals.
Yeah,
and you're never going to win any games if that's what it takes to win. And I mean, the quality of players they've got, you don't even need to give them sort of easy chances, although we did. So yeah, it's hard to see how we could possibly contrive to get something, but I mean, as long as there are 2 teams on the pitch under the same conditions, then theoretically there is a chance. But yeah, probably not.
Liam, are you going up for the whole weekend? This could be our last trip to Anfield for a while. You go straight up and back again?
I got tickets for Anfield, but I've also got tickets for Twickenham the day after for England versus Italy, so I can actually see a team win a game, hopefully. A change. We're driving up.
Narrator, England lose that game.
Well, I mean, that's fair though, Steve, isn't it? At the moment, I mean, I have seen both of the Saints' victories this season so far, and it's depressing to use the word both at this stage of the season. So I'm hoping, we're going up and coming back the same day, and then I will be at Twickenham on Sunday, drowning my sorrows watching England play rugby.
What a weekend!
I mean, a weekend of sport normally sounds great, right? But I think it'll be quite juxtaposed. Well, hopefully it'll be quite juxtaposed anyway.
Highs and lows, Liam. Highs and lows.
Yeah.
Let's do some score predictions then. We had 3 correct guesses in the predictions league this week. Steve got his second 3-pointer of the season. Congratulations. So what about Liverpool away? I'll give you the honour of going first. Steve, how many goals are we going to concede? Go.
Let's go for some nice symmetry. But I think they might just properly slacken off, and we'll get something right at the very end. 4-1.
4-1. Glenn, pick a number.
7 sounds good.
Okay.
No, I think mainly because I'm gonna trust him to pick the right players for the right position. I don't know why. I'm just gonna trust him, and we'll have 3 proper defenders, and it will be a little bit more difficult for them to score. Yeah, hopefully James Bree will be on the piss at Twickenham as well and won't be at the game. Sorry, I'm picking on him amongst others. So yeah, I can't see us scoring, to be honest. I think even if Sulemana runs past Trent Alexander-Arnold 4 or 5 times, there'll probably be no one in the middle. So yeah, probably not a lot of point. Might as well save his energy for defending. I'll go 4-0.
4-0. All right. I'm seeing everything from 6s to 8s and 5-1s in the comments at the moment. Liam, do you want to pick a number?
Your audience, considering I'm new here, your audience are going to murder me for this, but I will never bet against Saints.
Okay.
That being said, I also can't see us winning. So at this point, I'm cornered now, and I have to pick a draw. and I'll have to go. Like, I don't see us scoring more than one, so I think I have to go for a 1-1 draw. Just because I will never bet against them to lose because I don't like doing that. And I'm aware that I'm about to get murdered in every comment section on every platform. But
It's fine. We were the same about 4 years ago when we started doing all this.
Yeah.
This feels like that moment in Family Fortunes where Les Dennis would look at the board. He says, "Well, if it's up there, I'll give you the money myself."
Another reference for the kids.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Anything else on Liverpool? Anything else on this week before we wrap up? I think we've covered quite a bit tonight, haven't we?
There's not a lot. There's not a lot else to say, really. I mean, it was predictable. It was just exactly as we expected it to go. Really, nothing has changed. And again, we're in the same position where we just got to hope that something changes between now and the next game. What that looks like will depend on Ivan Juric, of course, and maybe it will depend on what the Sport Republic bigwigs decide to do, whether he's worth keeping. This is probably the last break, I imagine, between now and the end of the season, is it?
Yeah, it's now or never. Isn't it?
Depends on the FA Cup, because if Fulham get through, the next round is when we're due to play them, possibly, or either the quarterfinal or the semi-final. I can't remember.
Yeah, mind you, I'm kind of crediting Sport Republic with thinking that doing things in the gap is a good idea. They probably won't. They'll probably wait until one day before the next game and then do it. But such is life at the moment. But we will see.
Well, there's something to discuss on Sunday night then, if he's still in post.